This dude right here. His name is up there, right? I don't even want to say his name. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this is the dude right here who tapped into that money, that account that you can plug in, it go in, but you can't use it. He used it. This guy right here.
But I wanted to just kind of pinpoint or elaborate a little, if you will, about Randy and his doings and how it ended, how he landed in jail. He was so fast and spot on with using the TDA accounts when One People's Public Trust was created by Heather and several others, filed documents with the, UCC documents that foreclosed the corporations, people, what they're doing right now, and and putting out my story of the experience, firsthand details that I have from being right there. And but this all started with Harvey Dent's video the first week in July. What happened is Randy saw the video, with the Social Security card and, connect to your accounts and you can, do this and do that. He jumped on it. He really, literally jumped on it and was so fast and so successful with that information that now he's in jail. He did nothing wrong. I mean, it was his Social Security number that allowed him to have access to these funds that were accepted at USAA Bank. And he bought CDs, and I was with him on the phone as he was buying multiple CDs. So there's another one. I just did another one. What happened and allowed him to buy, cash out some CDs, one or two of them, which they were large CDs. They were, pretty, almost $1 million each.
So this is what Randy had to deal with, and this is what I had to deal with, and there were a lot of surprises, but Randy had his own design.
For those that are going to be watching this recording, what we're talking about now is Randall Keith Bean. The story is out on a number of different blog posts. Essentially, the process that he went through was he utilized his Treasury Direct account to purchase a number of CDs, high-volume CDs through his USAA bank. At which time those were processed, went through. He did everything legally, lawfully, by the book. All his I's were dotted, T's were crossed. There was nothing he did that was illegal. And he used those funds in his USAA bank to authorize a wire transfer to make the purchase of a very large, oversized coach to the tune of $500,000. What was it? A number of days later, he was then arrested without warrant, without charges by officers that were unwilling to really share who they were.
The main thing and the reason that they apprehended him or kidnapped him, beat him, injured him, and took him away without a warrant is because he accessed huge amounts and successfully wire transferred funds to an RV dealership, and also at Heather's direction was able to get the MSO or the MCO, the manufacturer's certificate of origin, which shows he has that or had that. It's still with his belongings, but he doesn't have it with him in jail. It was crazy. It was fun. But at the expense of now him being, the immediate contrast happened just, pretty immediately, the balance of that. He was excited and doing this, being and doing all this that first week in July. And he said, well, you guys please come to my apartment here in Knoxville and we'll hang out over the weekend. And then you guys just cancel your reservations. And since we've got all this in our disposal here, we're going to just have a great time. We're going to take the RV. When we arrived on Friday, it was super fun, super cool, just energetics, positive energy that was just felt and, really felt without fear. We've accessed what's truly ours.
The other thing about the arrest is there was only one official officer there on duty that day. From the Knoxville Sheriff's Department, he brought a dog with him. And he didn't show up until after the first 4 cars were there, and they were all unmarked, but they claimed they were on a stakeout. It was obvious that the dealership was trying to hold me hostage and not allow me to leave.
Randall Bean describes being pulled from his car by individuals who were Blackwater people rather than legitimate law enforcement officers. He notes that there was only one official officer who appeared late, and the cars were unmarked. During the arrest, his pants were pulled down, his underwear was shown, and he was beaten and had his face pushed into the dirt. He was then forced to stand handcuffed in a populated area, seemingly for public display, with many people watching. He describes being held for 2 to 3 hours without any specific reason for arrest, and officers were heard asking to run him up or something so we can put him in jail, implying a lack of a valid warrant.
You know, looking into and doing your own research, because it's factual, it's not conspiracy, it's just real, and you know, it's hidden in plain sight. So we went to Tennessee, and the day we arrived is the Friday the 7th, and all this had been done with, you know, Randy had purchased the CDs, he had wire transferred for the RV, he had purchased a brand new 2017 Ford pickup truck, and you know, the all this stuff had been happening, and he had been talking with Heather that week as well. And we arrived and went to see the RV, but eventually we did. We were riding around after seeing that, looking for a place for dinner, and he got a message via text or email, and it was saying something about his account. His checking account needed some kind of signature card on it. I'm not sure exactly, and he wasn't sure. So he called the bank, and he was on the phone with the bank for, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. They didn't help him. They didn't tell him. They just said he needed to have that, and he said, well, I'm clicking on the link. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to print it, and it won't let me. So we proceeded to have dinner. His account was locked. At that time, the CDs were still showing, and the credit card worked. Not fearful, just concerned. And we had a really nice dinner. It was concerning him, of course, because he couldn't access his account. And that was what we were going to use to go to Tennessee, Saturday and Sunday. He received notice that he had purchased, I think it was 27 or 29 CDs, separate CDs, 12 of which were blocked, and 10 or more were still available at that time. Anyway, eventually his credit cards were shut down, and all this stuff was happening. So here we were with Randy. He wasn't alone, and he was grateful that he wasn't alone while this was happening. This is what we need to happen, on a large scale, because Randy really did go big, and he went fast, and it was successful because it was so fast. He purchased the RV with a wire transfer, and he paid off vehicles, and while we were there visiting, he received the titles for those vehicles. Things like that were solid. If these TDAs were not real, then why did this go through, and why did it successfully transpire? That's the bottom line. It's his social security number. He did nothing wrong. Everyone else can do the same thing.
Like I said, there are going to be bugs, there are going to be issues, and there are going to be glitches. But the more we use it, the more we force their hand, the more the people that know what's going on are going to have to step down off their little ivory tower and educate their employees.
And then right here, it's basically going over how the Secret Service had, we did not know exact whereabouts, but she entered into NCIC and then received a call from the United States Secret Service later that night regarding positive contact with Heather and Fiducie. So the Secret Service, like she said, there's an arrest warrant. So the reason what precipitated the call from the United States Secret Service to you, yes ma'am, the United States Secret Service had come into contact with her and two other individuals when they showed up to Washington, D.C. To my understanding, they were in a request to meet President Trump. They're trying to meet Trump. Well, as you note on here, it says Request Procedure Special Agent Parker. This is what I refer to as a biometric report. So basically what this is telling you is that they originally identified her based off of her fingerprints.
Identify yourselves immediately.
This is what they were using as evidence for her, as they say, she was impersonating an attorney, and they used this as evidence of that.
It's his social security number. He did nothing wrong. Everyone else can do the same thing. However, up to the individual how they want to handle and what they want to attempt. Many of us, myself included, have used the routing numbers and the social number as the account number that goes through, and then days later it's reversed. And some of us that have done this have experienced the reversal being reversed. I can't explain it. I don't know. Some people are saying that August the 1st was the date that this was supposed to actually be allowed. I don't know anything about that, but I did run across a video or a post somewhere that was saying that's what happened, is we all did it too fast. So maybe that's why the reversal was reversed after August 1st. I don't know, but it happened, and Randy's paying the price for us all because of what he did and went so big. And then Heather is in Washington, D.C. in jail because she came to Knoxville and then to D.C. because of Randy's incarceration, because USA Bank, main branch, main headquarters, whatever, is in San Antonio. And so they were going to go get Heather and go to San Antonio and get this straightened out with her documents. So when everything turned about and everything was cut off for Randy, the 10th of July, I was with Randy at the RV dealership, on the phone with Heather via, conference call, talking to the dealership because they had notified Randy that someone is trying to reclaim the money or say that he wants the money returned. And he, over the phone, said, "No, I'm not. I assure you that I'm not. The RV is mine and I want it. And that's your cash. That's your money." So due to the amount of the money, it's got them a little concerned. So we drove to the RV dealership, sat there in the office with the manager, the sales manager, the general manager, Heather on the phone, tried to reach someone at USAA, got some bogus names. I mean, it's just surreal, really. And then the RV dealership's bank was Whitney Bank. So that day, the 10th, that conversation with Heather via conference call on the phone, I actually recorded a majority of that meeting audio and shared it with Heather. And I think it's been posted somewhere of that conversation where she's assuring them that, nothing was done, that there's something on the back end. The originating bank is just trying to recoup the money. And she's going to look into it, that she's his attorney. And, it was pretty benign. It was just a conversation that was Monday the 10th. On Tuesday, the 11th, we all went to breakfast. Alex and Val had arrived. So we had breakfast. And as we finished, they were getting ready. They got in the truck to leave. And myself and my boys, my youngest son and my grandson, we went back to Randy's apartment and decided to go swimming at the pool there in the complex. And they were off to do that, bring the RV back and all that good stuff. So that's when I got a text message from Val and said, "Can you please send Heather's number?" I didn't have any idea why, she needed to get it from me and not Randy. That didn't connect at that time. An hour and a half later, I get a phone call and it's Valerie saying, "Randy's been abducted. Randy's been taken. He's been arrested. He's been beaten severely and he's been taken. And can you come get us? We are at the motel that's right beside the RV dealership." I said, "Yeah, it'll take me a few minutes or, take a little while, but I will come and get you."
The attempts and the processes and the successes, because that was the biggest thing. There were so many successes there for the first 7 days that it was irrefutable that those accounts existed, number one. Number two, that they were yours, because you were able to make things work. They had to manually go in and, 1 million transfers that were done. And then by the 17th, when I arrived, there was 10 million. Now there's tens of millions that have gone through, and they manually are having to do all this. So it's a done deal as far as everyone getting their unfettered access to their unfettered access and facilitation to their accounts. Period. That's a done deal. So now it's just announcements and the actual, forms of application at this point. It doesn't take much for them. It basically is them telling their manual departments, hands off. But I can also tell you that as far as the teams I work with universally, we've already taken other steps as well, where their access to even affect it manually is being removed. And that's what has been happening with Bank of America shutting down, not being able to do their things, is this recalibration. And that very shortly, they just won't have access to manually block you or reverse you or any of that. And they know that.
A lot of people are getting misled, and just the UCC filings alone, nobody has to do that because it was done by Heather and you guys. And then
Exactly. Heather's taking care of all that stuff. It's done. It is done. It's, Heather has told me on countless occasions, there's nothing else that has to be done. It's done. And people were talking about they need to get the Social Security card done or their birth certificate done, and Heather said, "No, it's done. There's nothing else to do. It's done." People just need to understand the simplicity of it.
The coordination that everyone did by touching their accounts and paying their bills, going in and working at the purchasing, going in and figuring out how people outside the U.S. can actually access their accounts and value. All of this was a coordinated effort. And he was like, "This is just a simple extradition. Who cares if he gets extradited?" And that's when I about lost it. And I said, "You have no idea what the facts of this case are." I said, "It's not what it appears." I said, "That Colorado warrant, it was bogus, yes, but it was so much more than that." I said, "You have no idea what Randall has gone in to do for everyone. He went in to uncover the shadow parts of the governments that are running around, because you have people touching accounts that are in their names. It's the Treasury Direct accounts." I go, "You have one, your kids have one. Randall did this for you guys." I said, "And I'm just keeping him alive And so he doesn't disappear. And that's what Colorado was all about. And he just kind of sat there, and you could kind of see he was resisting and he went to, you could see his wheels going to a script. And then it was just kind of like, well, and then he went to the thing that was most comfortable. Well, who's going to pay me?
What I've known and what I see is that if it's like a prepaid thing, or if it's like a utility type of thing, once it's paid, it's paid. They can't even reverse that, although they attempt to. But at the same time, when they do, it exposes them who did it. And now here's the kicker. Now you motherfuckers have to explain to everybody, why'd you do it? These accounts are in our names. Why did you not authorize my transactions? Why did you not authorize me to pay my bill? Huh? It clearly says my fucking name right there. Your TDA is also what they're banking off of when you go to the courtrooms.
Yep.
Your TDA is what's paying them to keep your ass in jail. And because you don't know nothing about it, your ass is staying in jail. It's all a fraudulent system that they created, and they didn't tell you about it. So now you're in a fraudulent system that they're banking off of you in many ways. And that system is crumbling right before your fucking eyes. And all those that like to keep that system in place are being eliminated. Whether it's a straight up assassination where they leave the body for the authorities to pick you up, whether it's an evaporation and your mind wipes the people around you so they never knew you exist, whether it's you going to jail and being military tribunaled, you dumb motherfuckers are paying the piper, and you're paying with your souls